Hey everybody, my name is Christina, and today I want to talk a little bit about the brain's response to stress. And for that, I want to look at using the hand to explain a model of the brain. This is actually really cool. I saw Dr. Dan Siegel explain this in a YouTube video, and I found it really interesting. So if you imagine that this is the brain, right, this is the front part, just as if, the direction my brain would be facing. Then this is the cortex over the top of the brain. And the very bottom part of your fingers would be the prefrontal cortex, which is up here. That's your conscious brain, your thinking brain. Then if you were to lift up that cortex, the thumb right here would represent the limbic system. And the limbic system of the brain houses the thalamus, the hypothalamus, the amygdala, and the hippocampus. And the limbic system serves as like the neural center responsible for threat assessment and response. So it's a really complex system and it filters environmental stimuli to distinguish between potential threats and benign cues. And when a perceived threat is detected, and it's important here to distinguish between a real threat and perceived threat, when a perceived threat is detected, it triggers the activation of the fight, flight, or freeze response, right? Whether the danger is real or merely perceived. And going back to this hand model, this down here would be your brainstem. Okay, and then you have the autonomic nervous system, the sympathetic nervous system, and the parasympathetic nervous system. Now, in a genuine emergency, like a real emergency, you're being chased by a bear, right? The brain takes command of the brainstem, initiates the sympathetic nervous system, which is the part of the nervous system that is responsible for the fight or flight response, while inhibiting the parasympathetic nervous system, which normally oversees rest and digestion. The autonomic nervous system regulates essential bodily functions, including breathing, digestion, heart rate, hormone production, and many others, right? We're not even aware of that. You're not consciously thinking, oh, I have to make sure my heart's beating, or I have to make sure my body's digesting my food. Your autonomic nervous system takes care of all of that. You don't have to think about it. Now, the parasympathetic nervous system is named rest and digest because it plays a pivotal role in the restoration and regeneration of cells, muscle tissue, digestion, detoxification, the immune system function, and more. In contrast, the sympathetic branch associated with the fight or flight response elevates heart rate, elevates breathing, like speeds up your breathing, metabolism, production of stress-related hormones or chemicals go up, right? We talk about a lot. They're called CAN. We call them CAN chemicals, CAN for cortisol, adrenaline, norepinephrine. And this heightened state is adaptive in acute situations, enabling individuals to confront or evade immediate threats. This is normal, right? Now, in people with mind-body syndrome, we have a lot of perceived threats. And when the brain perceives a threat, its initial response prioritizes addressing the imminent danger over activities like digestion or wound healing or breathing, any of the things I just mentioned. So the challenge arises when this heightened state persists beyond the acute phase, right? In an actual acute phase, those CAN chemicals go up, and then when you calm down, they come back down, you're back in a parasympathetic state. That is the normal process. Cortisol, adrenaline, norepinephrine are not dangerous, they're not bad, they're there for a reason, right? So the issue does not lie in stress itself, but rather in our ability to manage and cope with it effectively. Human beings have this inherent anti-fragile quality that enhances our resilience to stress over time. So the real problem arises when our stress load surpasses our current capacity to recover, resulting in a state of distress. And that's what's going on with people with mind-body syndrome. So you don't have leaky gut, you don't have histamine intolerance, whatever else you've been told about digestion. It is that you are living in a heightened state all the time. Your nervous system is in a state of hyperarousal, hypervigilance all the time. And You've become so used to it, you're not even aware of it. But you're supposed to be down here, calm, right? Peaceful. So when you're in this heightened state, you cannot have normal hormone production. You cannot have normal digestion. You probably don't sleep well. You're probably fatigued. Um, all these things going wrong in the body. So this is where it's important to, one, know this and understand it. You have to get to the point where you believe that while your symptoms are real, they are not imagined, you have real symptoms, they are created by your brain. Because your brain, for some reason, perceives danger, and that danger can be emotional. Your brain is afraid of anger, or maybe there's a fear of failure, or maybe you're in a stressful relationship, whatever it is, and your brain perceives this as danger because more than likely you were not taught how to feel your emotions, cope with stress. That is not your fault. It's probably just something that happened to you. So, first and foremost, you have to understand this and believe it. Because when you know and understand and believe, like when you know that you know that you know, that yes, the symptoms are real, they're really uncomfortable, but they are created by your brain, there's nothing wrong with your body, then that's the first step and you can overcome those symptoms. Now, this is also where, in my opinion, it's significant to have faith, to believe God, to believe His promises for us, right? That's where all of that comes into place. Trusting in God and relying on His promises, whether that's for healing, for provision, or other aspects of life can help us rewire our brains to perceive safety and reduce the need for those stress-related symptoms. So, an excellent illustration of this concept is in Philippians 4:6-8. It says, do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, make your requests known to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds. And then verse 8, it tells us to focus on the positive and the good things and whatever is praiseworthy. So, when we focus on what's possible, right? I understand if you are dealing with sickness, disease, probably financial issues as a result, that's really challenging. But when we focus on what's possible, the possible outcome, and also focus on what is going well in our bodies right now, in our life right now, right? That's a that's a great step forward to start to overcome these symptoms. So I hope this is helpful. Obviously, there's a lot more to it, but I hope this is a good start for you. And if you have any questions, just let me know.